Let's dive into the ConVoid settings to gain an understanding of each option and its effects. In this session, we will only focus on the relevant options for creating and updating openings for MEP services. When starting ConVoid, you can find the settings for the filter you have selected in the toolbox located next to the refresh button. The highlighted options will affect the creation and updating results of the openings. The other options are used for adopting openings, provision for voids from linked models, and the approval process. So we will skip explaining these options in this session. Create vertical or horizontal openings if reference and host elements are parallel. By default, ConVoid will ignore reference elements that are orientated parallel to the host elements, as in most cases, these openings are not required. This option also prevents the creation of openings due to modeling inaccuracies, such as when a horizontal duct intersects a wall. However, if such openings are necessary, for example for horizontal pipes that must pass through a floor or a vertical cable tray intersecting a wall, you can enable these options. However, be aware of potential modeling inaccuracies that could lead to unwanted openings. Include host or reference elements not visible in the selected view. By default, ConVoid uses all host and reference elements for its calculations, even if they are hidden. However, you can disable this behavior by selecting a 3D view and deactivating the corresponding checkboxes. This will restrict ConVoid to using only the visible elements in the selected view for creating openings. This feature also works with linked models. To achieve this, follow these steps. Create a separate 3D view that will serve as the reference for the ConVoid process. Hide reference and host elements using filters, categories, or simply hide them manually. Display your entire project without activating the section box. Switch to a view of your choice to start the creation and updating process. Select a filter and go to the settings. Choose the reference 3D view in the drop-down menu. Disable one or both options to prevent ConVoid from using hidden elements. Start the creation and updating process. ConVoid will now exclude the hidden elements from the process and will not create openings based on these elements. Keep in mind that any changes made to the reference 3D view will affect the creation and updating process. So when continuing to work on your project, be aware of this potential impact. Include host elements in demolished phase. By default, this option is disabled. To include hosts in the demolition phase, simply activate it and ConVoid will automatically create openings in the demolished host elements. Ignore openings smaller than. ConVoid will not create openings if the dimensions width, length, height, or diameter of the openings are less than the input value. Round openings become rectangular if diameter is greater than. By setting a maximum diameter for circular openings, you can control the shapes of round openings using this option. For instance, if you set the limit to 200 mm, all potentially round openings with a diameter greater than 200 mm will be created as rectangular openings instead. You can also change the shape manually after the creation process. Join openings at a distance of. You can use this option to specify a distance at which multiple openings should be joined into a single one. You can also manually join openings after they are automatically placed. Ignore openings with an angle greater than. This option allows you to ignore reference elements, such as pipes, that intersect with the host element at a specific angle. Its primary purpose is to prevent the creation of openings in areas where the drilling machine cannot be placed due to a high angle. Create openings with a slope. Enable this option, and ConVoid will create an opening with a slope in X, Y, and Z rotation if the reference elements intersect the host with an angle. If you disable this option, ConVoid will create a straight opening instead. Round up opening dimensions. If you want to avoid odd dimensions, you can use the rounding option to round up the openings to the chosen value. Additionally, you can use the dimension void feature, which will be explained in a later session. Now you're all set to move on to the next step.